What's going on, guys? First video in a little while. I've just been busy with school, and honestly, it's not gonna get that much better throughout the course of the month. But I do have, a little grace period these next couple days, so I will take some time to put some videos out, including this one. So, first coaster related video in a little while. Today we're doing top 10 most underrated coasters I've ever been on. Now, I have been waiting to do this for a little while just because I wanted to, be able to come up with. Because I had a lot of options in mind, but making a whole list out of this wasn't necessarily easy. So, yeah, and when I say underrated, I wouldn't like a lot of these. The exception maybe like one honorable mention I really wouldn't consider like an elite coaster, but there is like fun rides I feel like either get too much hate or not enough attention. So anyway, let's get started. We'll start with the honorable mentions. Now these tend to get hate for certain reasons, but there's a decent enough fan base to them where I really don't feel like they apply for the list entirely. And those are Kingda Ka, Six Flags Great Adventure, Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England, and Millennium Force Cedar Point. Now, COD tends to get hate because those are slower harnesses and it can be rough. And honestly, I was able to understand that more the last couple of years than this year, because this year it feels like smoothed down entirely. It hasn't been rough at all. But like previous years towards the back, I remember that thing being pretty damn brutal. But yeah, not the case anymore. And this year I've really been loving it more than ever. And people tend to give it flack for being short, but it's one trick pony, but a pretty exhilarating one at that. So yeah, there are some people that still give it flack, but I don't. I'm also not one of them. Superman the Ride New England. People tend to shit on this because of the restraints, and when I ride again when I rode it in 2017, the restraints were weird, but they didn't hurt the ride experience too much for me. I think Skywars were significantly worse. I will likely be heading back to New England next summer for the first time since. Will my opinion change when I ride again? Maybe, but yeah, and there's many people that don't think that's in their top 50 because of restraints or whatever. I'm obviously not one of them. In Millennium Force, people tend to give a flack being forceless, and I think that's a little bullshit from what I experienced anyway. I thought it was intense, maintained speed great, and I thought it was very underrated, especially the night ride was amazing. Yeah, is it gonna still be my top 10 after I ride Fury, Maverick, and when I get to Florida? I think it's very unlikely, but it's there for now. So, yeah, anyway, that's it for the honorable mentions. Now let's get to the actual list, number 10. Number 10, we got Green Lantern at Six Flags Great Adventure. Now, if you told me like 3 minutes ago to scan me on the list, I would have thought you were crazy. And the reason why this is so low is because, this is one of the only coasters in this actually I can understand the hate. Because I was there at one point, and this thing can hurt like a bitch if you know how to ride correctly, and that is no understatement. But yeah, I finally, about a week or so after my trip, I went back to the park and I finally figured out how to ride correctly, and I'm now realizing that it's actually a good ride. So, pretty much what you do to ride correctly is you do not stand up, like, you bend your legs a bit, not to the point where you're, like, sitting down, but not to the point where you're, like, standing up straight either. And, keep your head out a little bit, and that way, it reduces the head banging significantly. And try not to have the restraint touch your shoulders. If you do all of those, it's actually, I wouldn't say that it's the most comfortable ride ever, but if you do all those, it's not that bad. Like, I was able to actually enjoy it the last 2 times I rode, which I definitely couldn't say in the past. And so, yeah. Understand the hate for this one, because, like I said, I was there just not even a year ago, but yeah. Nowadays, I actually really enjoy Green Lantern. I have it over Superman, I have it over Batman. Might have it over Medusa now, but that one I'm a little more unsure. But yeah, only number 10 because yeah, reasons I already explained. I'm not going to repeat myself too much. Number 9. Number 9, Backlot Stunt Coaster King's Dominion. Now, this is a clone of the one at Kings Island. I think, oh, they're the same thing. They're not. The Kings Island one was significantly rougher than this, I felt, and significantly more forceless, in my opinion. But this one, I think the effects were a little better at Kings Island, but this one, that launch was intense for our family coaster, and some solid pops to ejector on this, and honestly, I like this more than Dominator and Grizzly. Like, honestly, like, I think this is in, like, the top 5 in the park, if we're being really honest here. I've really enjoyed this one. And so, yeah, definitely, I would say a top 3 family coaster I've done. I mean, there is one on the list that's considered a family coaster, but I really don't think it is, but that's not for a while. And so, yeah, definitely significantly better than the one at Kings Island. I definitely don't think this gets enough attention. I don't know if I have it ahead of Big Bear Mountain. Probably not, but Big Bear Mountain gets so much more attention because it just opened this year. So, yeah, Backless Knuckles Kings for me, very underrated. I definitely wouldn't pass it up. Number 8. Number 8, Wild Eagle at Dollywood. Now, I still don't know if I had this at a Gatekeeper, actually. That's such a hard decision, but I wrote it in 2018. I remember thinking it was forceless and nothing special. I went back this year, and it was so much better. Like, it actually felt intense. I would actually grade out some of those inversions, and, yeah, restraints aren't great. They're being about restraints, but the ride overall was a significant improvement from what I remember. I'm actually debating of having Thunder, this or Thunderhead on the list, but Thunderhead has been getting significantly more attention this year for all the right reasons than in the past. So I decided, that doesn't really, apply for this list. But Wild Eagle, I think, definitely does. Yeah, I think it's probably 4th best at Dollywood. I'd say Wild Eagle, Tennessee Tornado, Thunderhead, Lightning Rod. Although Thunderhead and Lightning Rod honestly are very interchangeable. But I think my first ride on, Thunderhead was definitely Snooker, and my first ride on Lightning Rod right at opening. But yeah, Wild Eagle, very underrated. Definitely don't listen to the forceless crap people say about it, because that is, from my experience this year anyway, that was not at all the case. Number 7. Number 7, Apollo's Chariot from Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Now, I remember thinking this was better than Nitro when I wrote it in 2014, when I was hardly an enthusiast at the time. And wrote it again this year. No different. I actually think it's on the high, almost, I wouldn't say on the high end of B&M Hypers I've ridden. People are saying this is like the absolute worst. I didn't feel that whatsoever. Got a solid amount of ejector and floater on this, actually. And maintained its speed really well. Even after the mid-course break, I really didn't feel like it slowed down that much. And, yeah, I actually like this more than Alpengeist. Probably not more than Griffon, but I would say, no, it's number 4 at the park. We'll get to why I think's better in a little bit, but yeah, definitely this thing craps all over Nitro. I don't think it's even close. So, yeah, Apollo's Chariot definitely gets too much hate in the community. Definitely doesn't get, enough attention in the positive way anyway. Number 6. Number 6, we got a Dorney Park duo, and this is going to be the only tie on the whole list, I promise. We got Talon and Steel Force at Dorney. Now, Talon, this is actually one of the smoothest speed I've ever been on, and it is fairly intense, too. I wouldn't say it's quite on level of Alpengeist, Afterburn, or Raptor in that category, but I feel like it's a lot more marathonable than those. And, yeah, definitely, I think it's significantly better than Batman Great Adventure. I don't think it's even close. Maybe better than Great Bear, but I haven't rode that since 2017. But I actually do have it ahead of Alpengeist, because Alpengeist was whippy and super intense, but I got a super nasty headache from it. So, yeah, that part obviously wasn't pleasant, but yeah, Talon, this is something I can ride all day. It's so marathonable, so smooth, and, yeah, definitely, I mean, Dorney as a whole, I really don't think it doesn't get enough attention. That might change with Iron Menace, but yeah, I definitely say Talon is, like, some people consider it the best ride at Dorney. I don't blame them. I don't think I don't think it's quite there. I'd say it's number 2 easily in the park for me. Now, Steel Force. Now, this one definitely doesn't get, the attention it deserves either. I got some crazy ejector on this. Like, I think it's better than, I'd say, at least half the B&M Hypers I've done. I'm not even kidding. Some moments were fairly intense, too, but I wouldn't really say that it's, like, a super intense ride by any means. But, yeah. Definitely. Steel Force, I mean, I don't know if I even like it more in Magnum, which I know to one person I'm thinking of that probably sounds like a crime, but yeah. What is number 5? Number 5 is Thunderbolt at Kennywood. Now, I was thinking of having this in the top 3, but it didn't make it quite. But I did not get to ride Steel Curtain, which I'm honestly convinced I wouldn't have anyway, even if it was open, just because it's super unreliable. But yeah, this thing, for it being as old as it is and as small as it is, this thing blew me away. Like, I was not expecting, like, I expected this to be like, I expected nothing out of this, but the laterals were really hitting hard on this, and I was, got some really solid judge on this too. I think it's the best of the wooden coasters at Kennywood, which is saying something because I think they have a really underrated wooden coaster collection, but I think this comes out on top by far. And so, yeah, I definitely don't think Thunderbolt gets enough attention. I mean, one of my friends that was with me at Kennywood was actually telling me that it was, like, amazing and all that. It took me a while to believe it. And I actually got on it, and sure enough, like, I dare say it's ranked in, like, top 15 most intense coasters I've been on. Not even joking. It's not, like, top 3, but, I mean, look at it. It's not meant to be. But, yeah, Thunderbolt definitely doesn't get enough tension. It was super smooth, too. Like, that was one thing I was worried about, was that it was going to be, like, rough as shit. No, it wasn't rough at all. Yeah, really, Thunderbolt blew me away. Number 4. Number 4, Nighthawk at Carowinds. Now, I was really nervous to ride this one just because I had heard so many bad things about it. I rode myself and I actually loved it. And I expected the worst roughness wise, and it was actually smooth. Like, I don't even think I got any ear bashing at all. And, it's definitely a very weird ride, but I'd say it's better than Superman Grand Adventure far and away. And honestly, I wish there were actually more of these around because it's a really cool model, actually. Yeah, yeah, Nighthawk, I definitely think it's too much hate. I mean, I didn't get to ride Fury, obviously, so, that would obviously dramatically change things if I did. But I think for now, it stands at 4th best of Carowinds. I'd had the Sword of Boomerang, I had the Sword of Carolina Cyclone, and, yeah, I definitely don't think that's a very popular opinion, that's for sure. But, yeah. And I mean, I did not go in expecting to want to do this second time, but I did. And dare I say that 45-minute wait waiting for the first try was almost worth it. And other than being stuck on the brake line with a few cleanup, I really had no complaints with this. But yeah, I think the disorienting feeling of it was what I really loved, and the vertical loop that destroys Superman's Pretzel Loop. In my eyes, I don't think it's even close. Number 3. Number 3, Let the Hate Begin, Magnum at Cedar Point. Now, in all fairness, though, I did only get one ride, and I expected the worst. People are saying it was, like, super rough. I did not think it was rough at all. Like, sure, it was a little shaky, but nowhere near enough to ruin the ride for me. And it got some really, really strong ejector on this. And honestly, this is better than every Beat 'em Hyper I've done except Intimidator, Diamondback, and Behemoth, which is still something I can't believe me in saying. I mean, I didn't get to ride Maverick, which is a real shame. I'd say it's like 5 or 6 at Cedar Point, I think. And yeah, Magnum, just based on my one, I mean, had I run a different road, it would have been different, maybe. But just based on the one ride I got, far too much hate. And yeah, this is honestly something I wanted to get multiple rides on it. Just, because the weather on the second day, it just didn't happen. But yeah, the one ride I got, I absolutely loved, and I was damn near standing on some of those airtime hills. Yeah, I'm definitely one of the defenders of Magnum, and yeah, quite frankly, I don't think there's enough of those. Number 2. Number 2, Griffon at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Now, I think this is third best ride at that park. I think it's the best B&M Virginia. That was the best B&M at that park for sure. I think this is actually I'd say the smoothest roller coaster I've ever been on, and like it's smooth while it's super intense too. And I think that this blows Valravn out of the water. Like I wouldn't even say it's anywhere close. And yeah, I mean the restraints actually allow you to get airtime in that drop. And you get some solid air on there. Versions were pretty intense too, and definitely super marathonable. I'd say it's probably the most. I'd say it's probably the easiest to marathon at that park. Side, yeah, I'd the park was dead that day. I managed to get 3 rides, which is a real blessing, and yeah, I think it's significantly better than Alpengeist and significantly better than Apollo, in my opinion, and yeah, like it's even in my top 20. That was not something that I expected. I mean, it's in my top 20 barely, but it's there nonetheless. And so, number 1. And number 1 is Verbolten at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Now, this is the one I was referring to where I don't like. It's listed as family coaster, but I don't even consider it one. Like this is one intense ride for a family coaster. That's what a coaster about. I think so, but like I said, I hardly consider it that. I mean, launches were crazy intense for a family coaster, and that elevator drop really caught me off guard. And like this thing for a family coaster, it's really whippy. Like that was definitely not something that I expected. I mean, I remembered it from 2014, but this time when I wrote it this year in 2023, the elevator drop caught me off guard even more than it did at that time. And yeah, amazing theming too, and I think it's the second best at that park. I think like it's probably in my top 30, and I think it's probably better than every coaster at Grand Tour, with the exception of Toro and Ka. But yeah, that's another topic for another video. So. Yeah, but I think for now, definitely the most underrated coaster I've ever been on. Why this thing doesn't get any more attention is beyond me. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoying it. It was a real shame that I only got one ride on this my last visit, but hopefully I'll get more next time. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.